So, my gorgeous lady, you look stunning, by the way. I just want to have that on camera. I know I said it before, but I just want to say it on camera. You look amazing.
Thank you.
For those who don't know, do you mind introducing yourself?
Okay, hi guys. My name is FourLeafClover, and thank you for having me.
Tell us a little more about FourLeafClover.
Okay,
you know.
so FourLeafClover is a creative, right? I'm a writer, a poet. I sing, and I like to say I am a creative healer because I also love creating spaces where people can have conversations, conversations that will help them to do shadow work. Shadow work is like a form of therapy where you have conversations with self, your inner child. So I love facilitating spaces like that as well. So yeah, that's FourLeafClover.
I wanted to know as well, like, how was your upbringing? How did you grow up? And what led you to this path? Are we getting deep already?
Born and bred in PE, right? And I grew up with my dad and my mom. My stepdad, amazing man. Treated me like I was his own, because I am, but FourLeafClover is Unhlanhla, right? And Unhlanhla is South African. My mom is Xhosa and my dad is Mozambican. Yeah, so I'm Xhosa and Dao. I love that so much. Just have to say it. Yes. I grew up a very, I don't want to say timid child. I wasn't a timid child. I was very introverted though as a child, I think. Always loved art though. I've always loved God. God is a big part of my life. I was that child who would wake up everyone and say, let's pray. Loved church as a child, loved anything that, not say forced, loved anything that allowed me to look within, to find self, to find God, I think I was very grounded as a child now that I say it out loud. Even though there was a lot going on around me, I think I could still center myself in myself, and thank God for that. So as a child, I was someone who was really into art, who was really into God. I mean, at school, I sang in the choir for a little bit. And then in university, I was part of this amazing group called For Hebe. And we used to sing, we used to perform basically. And we'd sing, I'd perform my poetry there. It was really nice. So I guess the creative in me and the muse and the art has always been alive.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what type of music are you into now?
I was actually, funny story, I was actually talking about this today.
I saw it.
Yeah. Uguti, yes, on my status. Uguti, as I grow as a person, my other personalities don't like, not that they don't like, I think I have a very well-versed, I have a spectrum when it comes to my taste in music. I genuinely love sensual music. I love music that talks about love, your blues, your R&B, your neo soul, But my other personalities love very music that is grounding. Music that talks about God, music that talks about our ancestors, because that part of me is very much alive. So I think it's a mixture of Thandiswa Mazwai, Uhlebendalo, Thando Zide, yes. A very colorful taste in music.
Are those the people that inspire the way you sing, or
Interesting. Well, not entirely. I think the people that inspire the way I sing are people like the old R&B. The old R&B had people who sing. Now new R&B or neo soul, I feel like genres are so limiting, you know. I don't like boxing genres because they intertwine nowadays. But the people who influence me the most are the people who literally sang their hearts out, like Oleana La Havas. You know, Leanna La Havas is really great. She sings. New people now sing and rap. And it's beautiful, you know. Just can't do it. I wish I could. You know.
You low-key sounded like you're gonna rap right now.
I would. Trust me, if I could, I would. Utando Zita, though, I think she definitely influences me. I think she has a beautiful voice, a nice airy voice. You know, love it. So yes.
Okay. I wanted us to start diving into. Okay. Let me first ask you a common question in the self-seekers.
Okay.
What is Nhlanhla seeking for in her life?
What is Nhlanhla FourLeafClover seeking for in her life? I think I'm seeking for self. I'm seeking for self. I'm seeking for God, because I've found that when I've found most parts of me, I find God, you know, and not even in like a pompous way, but I'm seeing how we are really of God, you know. So when I look within and I root myself in who I am, because I'm also seeing that I feel like I've lived in other lifetimes as well. So as much as this lifetime is about creating self, it's also about remembering self. You know, remembering how and who I was in other lifetimes, so that I can bring it into this lifetime and find me and then find God, and within that I'll find my purpose, you know. I'll find what I'm supposed to do, what I'm created for. So I think yes, I just want to find myself. I want to find God. I want to always look within when I feel lost and not go to other people for validation. Yes.
And like how are you doing that currently, like the journey? How has that been? Seeking self.
I think seeking self for me looks like basically doing everything that you feel like is you. You know, walking the way that you're supposed to be walking, talking the way that you feel like resonates with you, dressing the way that you feel like resonates with you, just being truly yourself without filtering yourself, without any social construct, without that little voice in your head telling you, but you know, but abantu bazothini, you know, but this is not how things are done, no, but what am I saying, you know. And also by staying disciplined and staying true to myself and actually doing the things that I want to do, you know. If I want to write a poem, and write that poem and actually share it, you know, and actually writing a song and actually sharing it. So basically staying true to myself, and also staying true to who I am, in a sense that identifying my roots, knowing who I am, knowing who my family is, and staying true to that while growing in that as well, you know. Keeping a journal is important though, on a more practical side of things, you know. Keep a journal, write about your thoughts, write about how you feel, write about the things that you think you should do, write about the things that you want to do, write about how you would like to see the world, how you see the world right now, and look at that gap, look at what you can fill that gap with, you know. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. That's beautiful. I wanted to ask, maybe it's going to be slightly controversial, but it's just a segue in what you said, in terms of like doing the things that feel like you and that resonate with you. Do you feel like that implies mostly to women and children, and men are deprived of that privilege? The reason why I'm asking that is because once again, it might be controversial,
It's okay.
but like there's a certain standard that men have to
uphold.
Yeah, and women, it's almost like they're given the free will card, or like, just do as you please. And children, of course, they were mostly children, but men have to walk a certain way, they have to dress a certain way, they have to drink and eat a certain way in order to maintain a certain mentality and whatnot. But what are your thoughts on that, though?
I feel like patriarchy is exactly what does that for men. And the downside of it is that patriarchy is something that it's like a wall that was built by men until they realized, Guti, we are locked inside the same cage. Because who are these people saying, Guti, men have to walk like this, men have to talk like this, men, and who are these people who are upholding these standards? These are men. Women are mostly encouraged. You see a lot of spaces that encourage women to break away and to be free, and you see a lot of feminists because we have to be. Not only is feminism about the systematic change or the systematic call for equity and equality, but that's exactly what it is. And a lot of people mistake it for misandry, which is basically the hatred of men. We're not hating men. We are saying, Guti, we want to be on the same level in everything. I want you to look at me as your equal, not to look at me as someone who was created for your aid or for your help. That's not what I'm here for, and that's how patriarchy makes women feel. So you see a lot of spaces and a lot of us encouraging ourselves because we were brought up from that point of view. Now what needs to happen is men also need to tell each other, Guti, it's okay. It's okay, for instance, what we're talking about. It's okay to ask for help without feeling like you're weak for it. You're not supposed to stand alone. No one is supposed to stand alone. We need community, and men need to allow and welcome help without feeling like it's a weakness. They need to understand that. Another thing, I think we get it wrong by thinking that men are masculine and women are feminine, but in reality we all possess both, because these are qualities. These are characteristics. What does it mean to be masculine? It means that you get the job done, you are driven, you're the protector, you're the provider. Women can do this, women can fill those roles. And then when you're feminine, it means you are creative, you make things happen as well, you are nurturing. Men can also do this, and I think if we looked at society as not men and women, but more masculine presenting or more feminine presenting, because we are talking about the qualities that you hold the most, we would allow men to be able to break down, and we would allow men to openly encourage and motivate each other without feeling like, is this really for us? Do we really need this? So that ningazoifumana la pressure yoba, you guys have to have everything under control, because you don't. No one has everything under control all the time. We don't. So the men are basically struggling because of patriarchy, and they need to understand that they're the ones uplifting the system. You're watering the system. You came with the system, and in order to dismantle the system, you need to be also ready to let go of the privileges that come with patriarchy as well. Because that's the thing, you guys recognize that patriarchy is there, but do you guys want to do away with the privileges that come with it? Do you want to actually admit to Guti we are equals? Do you want to come, quote unquote, down to that level? And that's a problem. Some of them don't. They like the hierarchy, and that's the problem.
Okay, I wanted to have a follow-up question, but for now, I'll keep it there so that we can cover these up.
Okay.
I want us to dive into like meditation and finding balance within meditation and silence. What are your thoughts on that?
This is really great because I literally posted about it the other day. I think meditation is about grounding yourself in the moment, you know. I think sometimes we get it wrong and we think meditation is about losing yourself in the moment and blocking out thought and just losing yourself and transcending to this other realm, which you can, but meditation is literally synonymous to contemplation. Contemplation is synonymous to thought. So it's a space where you need to sit down with thought. That's what it's there for. But it's a place where you're observing thought now. You're not reacting to thought, you're not judging thought, you're just there to observe. You're getting to know, okay, I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of that. You're observing your neural pathways, you know, you're having a conversation with the neurotransmitters, you know, you're literally getting to know how your thought process moves, you know, how your brain waves move. And without any judgment, without holding on food to you, just like, I'm thinking about this. Okay, let it go, let it flow, you know. And also, it's a time to check up on your body. Very important to check up on your body, you know. That's why you take deep breaths in and out. And as you're taking this breath, you need to take the breath in from your feet, you know. Literally imagine your toes as you're taking this breath in and out. And as this breath, you know, check up on your whole body. Literally go from the feet up to your legs, to your knees, to your thighs, to your pelvic area, you know, every part of you. That's also how you unlock your chakras, or you feel good. Okay, maybe in my pelvic area there's a bit of stiffness. Okay, what could that allude to? Could it mean I've been feeling a lot of stress because you keep stress in your spine, you know, you keep stress in your nervous system, which is very much connected to your pelvic area. What does this mean? What have I been stressing about? Have I been stressing because I don't feel safe, which is your sacral chakra? As you go up and up and up, you know, have a conversation itself, let it flow. Meditation is about being present in the moment. Be present. You lose yourself in your mind all the time. Just be present for once.
And like, are there any practices that like maybe you advise, especially like Lamzanze, as you know, we are not really big or known for like meditation, although there are many religious beliefs that are here teaching that. There are many platforms that are teaching that, but the youth is not really focused on meditation. You know, how can one maybe go about being meditative on the daily, you know, routine at work?
By taking deep breaths, you know, breath centers you. Literally, umoya calms you down. If you take a few breaths, you can literally feel the breath going up to your mind and then down. It literally calms you down. It keeps you rooted, you know, it anchors you to this body, you know. So intentionally take a few breaths, you know, maybe 3, you know, start with that. And also I advise people to try guided meditations first for like 5 minutes, you know, actually listen to someone saying, take a deep breath, in and out, you know, start there. Because if you start with just when I went, or sometimes I've seen people getting pressured and thinking that when you're meditating you're supposed to not have thought, you're supposed to not get distracted. No, it's literally about that. Be aware, be in this room. Tell yourself, I'm not going to let my mind drift. I'm going to be fully present. It's about that. If you hear a cat meowing outside, it's okay. Let it pass though. If you hear something, it's okay. Don't let it be a distraction. You are the one allowing it to be a distraction. It's of this moment. Let this moment be, you know. And also, I can help people meditate sometimes.
And I was about to say, like, you have a very calming voice, and like,
Thank
do you actually have guided meditations of your own?
Not yet. But sometimes when I do facilitate spaces where people can have and come and have conversation and come and do shadow work, before we dive into the shadow work, I always want people to center themselves, center themselves with breath, with who they are. So it's very good to meditate first, just to release any pressure. And definitely don't feel pressured when you have to meditate. It's really not about that. And focus on the breath. If you have to focus on anything, literally listen to yourself breathing. And also always visualize. Try to tell yourself, how are my feet feeling? How are my ankles feeling? How are my legs? How are my knees? So that you can stay in the moment,
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Have you ever taken like stimulants that would boost your meditative sense, like maybe psychedelics, mushrooms, LSD, and would you advise things like that as like a therapeutic method? Because
it's a yes and no here, right? In there, would I advise someone to do it?
Okay.
I've taken mushrooms. I've taken a gram of what was that strain called? Golden Teachers.
I've taken golden teachers.
I've taken golden teachers.
Yeah,
but then
grams.
It was a gram. I need to go 2 grams. But that's conversation for another day. I need to go 2 grams. I've taken those, and the trip was really great. I got an epiphany. Of course, I would have been so mad if I didn't have an epiphany. But I got to dive in, and I got to actually see parts of me that are still bleeding. Those scars that you thought were fully healed. Then I actually know they're not. And I need to attend to them, because this is how they are bleeding over to other parts of me. And I wouldn't advise someone to take them without doing research about them. Do research about them, and also do research about yourself. It's a mind-altering substance. When you're on shrooms, you use more of your brain. I think they said you use close to 50% of your brain, which is not something that is humanly possible without the psychedelics. Maybe arguable, but because I feel like you can reach a high without psychedelics, but again, conversation. So I think if you have some mental health problems, probably don't. Because let's say you hallucinate, Gandhi, you have bipolar or something, or another mental spice, you're neurospicy. We wouldn't want you to get lost in your head. Just make sure you know your way around your mind, and then take the psychedelics. Because some people say they hallucinate and they're not even aware that they're hallucinating, but you need to be aware that this is hallucination, and then there's reality. So if you have some mental issues, please, as a psychology graduate, sounds to it.
Absolutely. Happy girls. Because I've also heard, just before we move on, of LSD, psilocybin, and DMT being used for therapy type of.
Yes, it can be. But then remember, those are prescribed. Like they know your way around your mind. That's the thing. They tested you. They saw, Uti, you are capable of keeping this. Of not keeping this money. You are capable of handling this. Yes, because for instance, if someone has schizophrenia, that could be dangerous.
Even for the doctors.
Yes, even for the doctors. So at least if it's something that's prescribed by your doctor, then it's okay. It's okay. That's why I'm saying do research on it and also know your way around your mind, know what you can take, and also start small. Take a gram.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that too.
absolutely, yeah. Okay, I wanted us to low-key dive into religion. I just firstly wanted to ask, do you like practice any belief system, or like are you in any religion? And like, yeah, what are your thoughts around religion?
Yeah, okay. I don't practice any religion, but I am a spiritual being, and spiritual literally means you have rituals that feed the spirit rituals, So I definitely have rituals that feed my spirit, and a ritual can be anything. That's why you must be careful with people. A ritual can be anything that you set your intention to. So when it comes to religion, I grew up very religious, but I'm not anymore because I believe in my ancestors. Love my ancestors so much, and I think growing in God, growing in my relationship with God has helped me to find my ancestors, because I found that my ancestors are of light and they work with God, so there's no way that I could ever separate the two in my reality, so for that reason, I'm not Christian anymore. I grew up being Christian, and since I love and respect Christianity so much, I was like, I can't continue saying I'm a Christian, whereas I feel like Christianity goes against what I believe, or I felt like Christianity was boxing for me, because don't do certain things, but now I have to do those things because it's what I believe will help my spirit grow.
And you also do you also believe in like different strokes for different folks?
Definitely, I do, because I believe we are different people and we have different communication styles in general, and religion is about divining. It's a way to divine. We have different divination tools, meaning we have different ways that we connect with God. So of course, even within African spirituality, it's different strokes for different folks. You need to know self, you need to know your people. For instance, kukabantu abaphahla ngomlilo, they literally have to lit up a fire, baphahle. Kukabantu who have to go up to a mountain, baphahle. Kukabantu who have to dress a certain way for baphahle. Different. You need to know yourself and to know into zakokwenu. I feel like that's important for me. So definitely different strokes for different folks. As long as you're not hurting anyone, you're not hurting yourself. Yeah.
Just a quick advice for someone who has been practicing because of at home they practice a certain belief. So much they do ways a certain way, but they feel like it's not working for them. But they know if they go to the ancestor side and at home they practice Christianity, they're gonna be cast out and they're gonna be,
It's a hard situation.
Yeah.
That is a hard situation. I just want to say, first of all, you are always connected to your ancestors. You are your ancestors, and the way to finding your ancestors is through God. So you could never put aside God in order to connect with your ancestors more. So if you feel like abantu are saying, "Hi, go to church" and stuff like that, go to church. Talk to God. And if you feel like this is not working for you, say, "God, please show me who you are. I want to have a deeper relationship with you. Show me how I'm supposed to connect with you, And your ancestors are definitely going to come forth if they're supposed to come forth. There are people who go throughout this lifetime without actually having a one-on-one with their ancestors, but that's okay. They're still there nonetheless. You don't have to communicate with them like that. But if you feel like you need to communicate with them like that, zingule. You don't have to light a candle and stuff like that. It's great, but you can start by knowing your, for Abaxhosa, you have to know your clan names, and lapho knowing your clan names is knowing like umntana wentombi or umntana womtshato, because it's different. For instance, I'm umntana wentombi, meaning my mom wasn't married to my dad. So when I talk to my ancestors, obviously I talk to my maternal ancestors, that's important. You need to know that. So ngula yourself, and also another thing that's important, say that ngula bantu bokhanya, because you always want to call upon the good, the good ancestors, and then talk to them. And also listen to your intuition. That's very important. Listen to your instincts. If you are doing this and something says, light a candle, light a candle. If you're doing this and something says, grab a glass of water, grab a glass of water. If you're doing this and something says, switch is in bed, switch is in bed. Because we also have different ancestors. That's why different strokes for different folks. Some of them want you to go to church and they communicate better there. Some of them like certain churches. Some of them don't want church at all. So the more you push, trust me, God and the sisters will always answer you. If you talk to them, they will talk back. Just don't box them. Don't want them to respond by responding. Allow them to introduce themselves as well and how they work. And don't limit God. Don't limit God. God can communicate through the weather. It can communicate through technology, through everything. He is omnipresent after all.
And do you think, before we pass this subject, do you think the ancestral world is united on the other side, or there are still conflicts and battles happening on the other side, which reflects what's happening physically?
I think there's still conflicts and battles. I definitely think there are conflicts and battles. There's a lot happening in the spiritual world, and some of it is our fault. I mean, Black people were colonized for eons, for decades, for centuries. It's something that we, even us as this generation, are still reaping the I don't want to say the benefits, because it's not the benefits. We are still feeling the scars and also the remnants. It's a corner. The system is still yes, it's still there. It still affects us till now. So if we are still feeling the residues, of apartheid, of course now they're still feeling it, because they went through it, for generations and generations. As much as I think when you get to the other side, you change and you evolve and you see things from a different perspective. But most of the time, what's happening here is a mirror of what's happening on the other side, So there's a lot of friction and there's a lot of awakening on this side, because there's a lot happening on that side. But one thing, I feel like kuyalungiswa. Yes, kuyalungiswa. As much as there are a lot of fights and there's a friction and everything, kuyalungiswa. They're bringing things back. They're bringing us back.
Just to this question is also going to lead in on the next topic. How do you think the ancestors are related or are connected to God?
Okay, so I believe that everyone is of God. I believe that literally the breath in between your lungs is umoya or ingcwele. So if this breath that is in my lungs is of God, and when this breath leaves, I technically leave this realm, this means that in this realm I am God, in a sense. I feel like everyone in this earth is of God, and you are never connected to that, disconnected from that, whether you are aware of it or not, you know. So now when our ancestors pass through, they go to the spiritual realm, I would hope that they awaken to the truth and who they are, you know, and how they are of God, you know, even more on a bigger spectrum, you know. And I think our ancestors wouldn't have access to us if they were not of God. If bebengasebenzi noThixo, I feel like basebenza noThixo, there's no point for them to connect with us and say, hey, please do this and that, or hey, please fix here and here. The abanayo la power without uThixo. Abanayo, you know. So I believe when the spirit lives this realm, it goes back to source. And you find another purpose. That's where you have Istonya, that's where you have Amadlozi. Amadlozi are nothing without God. Nothing. They can't do anything. Even your ancestors pray to God. They have to. Because then who are they working for? What's the point? Why are we doing this then? You know?
Then here's the question. Who or what do you think God is?
I think God is one, not a social construct, in a sense that God is not a man, God is not a woman, probably, but okay. But no, I believe God is bigger. You know, I think what we are is just a fraction of what God is, you know, or who God is. I think God is a beautiful creative. I think God is a mother, a father, everything. I think God is like, nothing can move in this world without God, even the darkness. You know, and I think sometimes that's something that we don't want to admit, or we don't want to talk about, you know, but nothing in this world moves without God. That's who God is, the orchestrator of it all, you know. I think God is so much bigger than anything that we could ever imagine him or her to be, you know. And another reason why I don't relate to religion anymore is because I feel like religion makes God, it gatekeeps God. It tells you, Uti, in order for God to love you, you need this and this, you need to tick certain boxes. And the truth is, God loves you and your worst enemy the same way. That's who God is.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
It's a hard pill to swallow. Yeah. It really is a hard pill to swallow, but that's who God is. God cannot be consumed by human emotion. God is not that person. I'm sure God has a full spectrum of emotions, you know, and there's no way that God could punish us for izinto zasemhlabeni. Okay, yes, maybe he can, but for social construct, for not adhering to certain social constructs and not connecting with him, maybe through Christianity or through a certain religion, no. God is way more understanding. I think, in fact, even the Bible says, if you truly search for God, you will find God. Meaning that God is bigger and better, and he's outside of any and everything that you could possibly construct him as. He's bigger. You know, God is great, but he's probably greater. You know, I have a picture of him is probably great, but his So God cannot be boxed. And another thing, God is every element. God is water. God is within the waters. God is within air. God is within earth. You know, God is the earth. God manifests in so many different ways. That's why they say God is omnipresent. I love that, you know, because there wouldn't be air without God. The waters wouldn't be here and they wouldn't move without God. The skies wouldn't be here without God, you know. So everything is and is of God.
Well, then would it be safe to say that God is like awareness or like consciousness? So wherever there is a thing, that thing is God. Or so that maybe we don't separate God from any other thing. God is all there is. So he is whatever we can be conscious of.
God, I feel like yes, but also God is every natural thing. God is everything that is of the earth. God is everything that is not man-made. God can inspire things that are man-made, but as in God can be of, you can say trees are a representation of God because it stands there and it grows and it gives us oxygen. And like I say, oxygen, and sometimes we take it for granted, but without God, the trees wouldn't exist. You are a representation of God. They've tried to examine human beings all our lives, it's still a phenomenon. Like, how did we even get here? And how is it that the body can heal itself like how it does? They could do research, but there's still things that they can't really pinpoint, So God is of awareness, yes, but God is of anything and everything that is natural. I want to emphasize on the natural because I feel like you can open up a portal when you are in natural spaces. If you're in the forest, if you're in the waters, if you are in the mountains, you can talk to God there because it's filled with things that are of God without any interactions without anything that is of us, which is the technology, the man-made things.
Then what do you think is not God? And like, especially when it comes to the concept of the devil or Satan, and what do you think is either than God?
I think maybe it's going to be biased, but I think God is of the light. I think God is of ukukhanya, so anything that is not of ukukhanya, anything that is rooted in bad intention, anything that is dirty, I don't think those things are of God. Because if anything, I think God can be neutral, but I can't accept the fact that God can be evil. I don't feel like God can be evil. God can be neutral. God can let things happen, but anything that is of evil, I've dissented the devil in my life, so I don't even think of the devil, honestly. I forget that the devil even exists, Even the devil being a concept, I would accept, I just think anything that is rooted in ubumnyama nokuncola, that's definitely not God, because God is of purity, That's why anything and everything that is natural, you can connect with God, Katina as abantu, since we have a limited spectrum of emotions, we take things and we manipulate them. And since we are of God, obviously we are powerful, So obviously we're going to manifest ukuncola where there's supposed to be purity. We can manifest darkness when there's supposed to be light.
Then do you think, before we pass to the last topic, because I like these follow-up questions.
I like them too.
Yeah, it's a journey of discovering ourselves. Then, do you think, since God is like all good and righteous and light, do you think He created the devil? Do you think, like in the beginning, like God outside of, in the Bible, of course, it says outside of darkness came light, do you think that God created the evil that we now have and the darkness that now exists?
I don't think He created it, but He allowed it. Yeah, I think He allows it to be there, Sometimes I don't get it because, for instance, I don't get why it it had to be black people for so many years. I don't get why we had to be colonized, we had to be stripped of who we are, we had to be traumatized like that for so many years, you know. That's a form of darkness, you know. I think God allows it sometimes to teach us a lesson, you know.
Yeah,
you know, and you have to be able to find God and to find yourself through it all. You must get to a point where your faith is unshakable. Literally, you must be able to trust God, you know. So without God actually allowing the darkness to be there, we wouldn't be able to fathom the full spectrum of this world and what life is, you know. Life is not all sunshine and rainbows. Life is about all the moments. It's about the ups and downs. It's about the linear moments as well, you know. So I think God allows the darkness to exist also because to teach us how we can use it maybe to our advantage. Because when you're doing a back to sender, someone can argue that that's of the darkness, but you're just fighting back. You know, you started this. You know, I'm just dishing out into it. Go back to yourself. You know, yeah. So I think God allows it so that we can have pivotal moments, so that we can learn, also so that we can know that we need God. If it was all good and sunshine and rainbows, do you think you'd think you need God? No. You would think you are God.
Low-key, I think I am, but hey, I'm joking.
I mean, I get what you're saying. You are an extension of God.
Yeah.
And that's also important to understand, that you're an extension of God, and there are other people and other things that you can't see. I mean, the air can't be the only thing that exists that we can't see, if you think about it, you know. So in order to live in harmony as well with everything and everyone, you need to be aware of God, because then that instills discipline and respect, you know. No tobek. So tobek if you felt like everything was smooth.
That's true. I wanted to just towards the end, the last two topics. The first one is love. Yeah. Yeah. Tell us about your interaction with love. How do you show love? How do you express love? How do you receiving love?
Yeah. Love. See, I could say God is love, you know. And I know it sounds cheesy, but I think love is supposed to be selfless, you know. Love is supposed to be effortless. Love is supposed to flow. You know, when you meet someone for the first time and you have a conversation and you just feel like, oh my gosh, I just met this person, but I love them.
Yeah.
The truth is, that's how easy it is to fall in love. It's just, it takes a while for us to admit it. You know? Yeah. So I love love. I love showing love because I feel like in the bonisa ububele bezulu, you know, like the bonisa God's grace, you know. That's what love is, you know. It's supposed to feel like I got you and I accept you and I'm not judging you, you know. And I think how I show love is by letting people be themselves first and foremost. I want you to feel like you can come to me without filtering any part of yourself. I want you to feel safe enough to tell me your darkest intrusive thoughts, you know, and I want us to be able to talk through that. You know, I show love by being a personification of a safe space, you know, by also letting you reintroduce yourself, you know, with any change and growth that comes along the way. You know, I also show love through words of affirmation. You know, I'll tell you, Guti, I'm proud of you, you know, and I think you're doing great. And I think you need to hear that sometimes, you know, as people. Also show love by actually being there for you. I will try to ask you if I can't just do it from observation, the things that mean a lot to you, and I will take some time to get to know those things as well, or to spend time with you while you're doing the things that mean a lot to you, you know, because that means I'm showing up for you. I need to show up for you, you know. Yeah, that's how I show love. Also, I'm pansexual, so I've dated men and women. So, you know, when you date women, you gotta have money.
That's crazy coming from a woman.
No, you have to, guys.
So even as a woman.
So nemali, guys. Show love through money.
Yeah. So you bless your woman.
Yeah, I have to. I don't know, Ali, definitely. Baby, I'll buy everything that you want. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's super nice.
Yeah, because I think it's, I mean, we have 5 love languages for a reason, and gift giving is there for a reason, you know. If you buy me something that I really wanted, it means you thought of me, you know. And it's called retail therapy because it literally releases feel-good hormones. So why wouldn't you want your woman to have some feel-good hormones because of you?
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Yeah. So, and also just being there, man, and being present and really getting to know your loved one. I think when I find people who I think really get me and really, really see me, I feel loved. You know, if I feel like you really see me and you really love me and you accept me, I feel loved. So, and how do I feel love? I'm a big words of affirmation girly. You know, I love conversation because I also understand the vibration that words carry. You know, your words are literally carried out by umoya, you know. So if you are sending out your spirit, your words my way, I love it, you know. So I love words of affirmation. I also very much love physical touch. I'm very affectionate, you know. I love, even if I state, I wanna feel that you're here, you know. Even with my friends, and I have friends who don't love physical touch, and you'll love it. I'm joking.
No,
but like a hug, you know, here and there.
That,
yes, and also just being present again. Being present for the things that I love, you know. I understand as people we have differences, but if you really pay attention and you want to get to know me and you celebrate me as a person and you celebrate the growth in me and you even celebrate our differences and you honor our differences and you respect them, because I have friends that, for instance, don't believe in ancestors, and that's okay with me, you know, as long as you are respectful, you know. So if you let me come as I am and I feel like you're a safe space, love that. I will feel loved with a sprinkle of money. From my mother.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So you also like receiving money as much as you like giving it.
Yeah, of course. But that's not how you awaken my love. That may be how you can compliment my love like that. You can make me feel good, but that's not how you get me to fall in love. Yeah, that's not how you win me over. Yeah, you can win me over with words. I mean, I'm a sapiosexual as well, you know, so intellect is a big thing, you know, being able to articulate yourself is a big thing. Hey, this is why I fall for smooth talkers. I must stop. I must stop. But yeah, you know, and quality time, I love quality time because this means that you're showing up, you know, you're being present. Yeah.
Okay, you know, I actually wanted to follow up on this love topic thing now, but I realized it's okay. I don't know where you are in your romantic love situation.
Public service announcement.
For good? Is it for good?
I forgot.
Yo, sorry.
But if you
ladies.
see me next week.
And you're a smooth talker and you're a girl.
No, if you see me next week with someone, don't ask
Ooh,
me.
oh wow. Ima, okay, just quick
joking.
question. Which types of women catch your eye most?
Physically, I don't entirely have a type. I think as long as she's beautiful, and she carries herself really well. I think I'm more of like an energy person, I love women that are masculine, but also feminine. I want you to have like a nice balance.
Yeah.
Be androgynous.
Yeah.
Find an equilibrium.
Absolutely.
It's so hot.
And know when to be like masculine at the right time, know when to cuss me out, know when to
Don't cuss me out.
no,
Never.
but like a slap on the wrist,
No.
Just be like, baby, you don't do that slap.
I mean, my thing is, I feel like I love women who are very soft but also strict. So I get what you're saying. Yeah, but tell me as it is. Intellects, please. You must be smart. Obviously, it's attractive, and not just smart but driven. And also very spiritual. I love spiritual people.
I hope you know this is your Tinder CV. It's your application on Tinder.
Hi guys.
Nah, just
Ndingathatha nangomso mna.
hayi bo Tlantla.
Ngiyakuzwa.
Before I let you go, I just want us to slightly briefly discuss your thoughts on life and death. Living and dying, and just those two concepts.
Oh, damn. In like a literal sense or in a figurative sense, or both?
I'd say let's do both.
Okay.
So that figuratively you tell me what you believe these concepts mean, and also literally what are they?
What are they? Okay. Oof. I think death and rebirth is the epitome of life. I think it's what it's all about. If on a figurative sense, I think we are always going through cycles, and in African spirituality, it's also very much explained in like a spiral. They say life is a spiral, not even a circle, a spiral, because you go through a series of deaths and rebirths, and those are important. You need pivotal moments in life, you need to go through an ego death. You need to let parts of you die in order for you to grow to the person that you are supposed to be, So I think as a Scorpio, if you know anything about astrology, we are literally the rulers of death and rebirth. Scorpio, we have three symbols as Scorpios. We have the scorpion, we have the eagle, and then the last one is the phoenix. That literally rises from the ashes. You need to get to that point. You need to be able to let parts of you die until you can rise from the ashes. You need to be able to have an ego death. You need to be able to kill parts of you in your mind, in order for you to let go, certain things that aren't serving you. There are things that will help you grow, and there are people that will help you grow, and systems and everything that will help you grow for a period of time. And you need to let that version of you die in order to move on to the next, So I think it's what life is all about, and you need to be able to handle that. You need to be able to handle death and rebirth, because it can be rough. It can be rough. You need to feel that process fully in order for you to value it and to honor it, When it comes to like the literal sense now, on the literal sense it gets tough, I hate death, on the literal sense when it means that people pass away and stuff like that. I hate it so much, you know, because you're losing someone. You know, you're losing someone that was really close to you. And as much as I really understand ukuthi lo mntu akahambanga unomphelo, I definitely believe there's life after death. I definitely believe that people transcend to the next realm, to the other realm, and because we become amadlozi and stuff like that, you know. But it's not nice that you're living this realm. But awukho in the physical sense, and I'm so used to having you on the physical sense. And I never know what to say, you know. For instance, when a loved one has lost someone, I never know what to say indeed, because I feel like there's nothing that you could say to that person for you to ease the grief. I think grief is such a personal thing. You have to establish your own relationship with grief, but you need to make sure that you have the upper hand. I don't know. But when it comes to bringing life for me is all about creating, you know, creation, you know, honoring a creation kabao and honoring your own creation, the things that you would love to do. Life is about birthing who you are in different ways, you know. I think that's what God did. God literally birthed himself in different ways, you know. Everything is of God, everything is connected to God. The trees are of God, having a physical experience in this realm, so are you. So you need to honor that in order to honor your own creations, you know, because that's a part of you in a different way, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Holy mother of Christ. Clara, I feel like we should have part 2. Because because like we're going past an hour, but I still wanted to ask you about dreams.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted us to go deeper into dreams, and we're pressed of time because someone booked for 3 p.m.
Damn, okay. Yeah. What's the time now?
3 p.m.
So they're gonna pull up.
But the timing is so beautiful because we literally finished in like exactly an hour. And it doesn't even feel like we've been talking for an hour.
It doesn't. We've been talking for an hour?
Like literally, imagine. And this is before we started recording. Like,
oh wow.
I mean, this is only the recording.
The before. Okay.
But like this is like beautiful enough for me. But I do feel like we should, if you don't mind.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Return. I wanted us to talk about that.